Welcome, everyone. I cannot believe we are already at the end of week 6. And so I've been getting a couple of questions on how to do project 3 and what is the best way to go. Do we have to do it in multiple languages? So I wanted to shed some light on this. And I'm going to post this today, which will be Saturday. And then you can understand what you're going to be up against, so not to worry about it. So let's start off with what it tells you over here in this project. You're going to demonstrate your mastery of the following competencies, and that's all well and good. And it tells you that you are doing an awesome job at ShadowTech. I'm not really sure which is better, fantastic, or awesome, but you are obviously doing a good job, and you're still a junior developer, so I don't understand if you're doing such a great job why you're not a senior developer. Where is the new fancy car, the new job title, the corporate jet, expense account, and all those other things? But anyway, we're glad that you are succeeding. So what you want to do here is get a program written that's just going to analyze a bunch of items from a grocery store like apples, bananas, and things of that nature. And you're going to determine how many of each are going to be ordered. So let's go and look at the directions. It tells you as you work, check your code syntax to make sure your code will run, and note that you compile your code, you'll be able to tell if it's successful, obviously. So if you submit something to me that doesn't compile, then obviously there is an issue. And I would recommend that before you do submit it, unless it's Sunday night at 10 o'clock, you might want to get with me on that. So please don't wait to the very last minute, because obviously the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be for me to assist you. So anyway, you're going to start off with a menu item. One of them is going to be to prompt the user to input the item and that you want to look for to see if it exists. And then it's going to return how many values are there. So if you're looking for apples, you're going to want to make sure that you type in apples and it says, yeah, there's 4. And then to print the list with the numbers of the frequency. So here is how it should be. So all of the items that are there, and I believe there are between 18 and 20 unique items. So you're going to put potatoes 4, pumpkins 5, onions and 3. And the same thing here is the histogram. And so it's going to just print, instead of 4, it's going to print these 4 stars and 5. So I'm going to post a little code that you can do this, the string of stars, without having to use a for loop in a very simple thing. So I will post that as a separate video. And then, of course, it has menu option 4 is exit the program. So let's just go back and take a quick look at this one issue with potatoes. So now you're reading in, and it's got a capital P. And the input file, I believe, has all capitals. So what you want to do is you need to make sure that whatever you type in is going to be the same format as what's in the other one. So if it's capital P potatoes, you'll need to make sure that's capital P potatoes. And another option is to make sure that when you write the file, you write everything in lowercase. So that's an option to do as well. So I will probably post some functions as well that you can use these things on how to put everything to lowercase. So as you're reading a file, then you might want to put it in lowercase as you're writing it. So everything is going to be consistently in lowercase. And then when the user types in something, you might want to convert that to lowercase. These are just things that you can do. You don't have to do them. Just make sure that you want to put in your capital letters, however it's written in here. So that takes care of these things here. And let's go down a little bit here to frequency.dat. Well, frequency.dat does not mean frequency.txt. It doesn't mean the frequency.dat. So you want to make sure that you are actually creating the exact same name of what is written. And that's important, because if you're working in any kind of database and you just name it whatever you want, you're obviously going to have some possible issues in here. So we're going to go in here to the output file is created without user intervention. So basically, you're going to run the program. The first thing it's going to do is read the file. then you're going to have the output file written. That's when the user intervention becomes, so you can refer to the other ones. The temperature was one also that read and write in here. So now this is important, documentation. What I would recommend here is just some nice pseudocode here. So, and then in screenshots, just take some screenshots of the running of your code. So you run the code, show the menu in one screenshot, show the output of this was included, or show the output of how many of each one, show the output of the histogram. So you're probably going to have like 3 or 4 screenshots in here. So let's go down here. Now I'm going to leave this up as an option for you. Because, you know, I really don't feel comfortable in forcing you to write this in a class. You might want to take it as a challenge in here, but if you want to submit it all in one regular file, I'm okay with that on this one here. So please make sure that you check with me, because running it into a class, it may be a little bit more work than it seems to meet the aisle in here. So then we have maps. Now, I know it does tell you you can use any other implementation, maybe a vector or something else, but I would prefer that you use maps. You need to learn maps. We've already done vectors, and they're easy. I love vectors, but this is something important that you learn how to do maps, and it's really very easy. You'll see a video posted that tells you step by step how to do that in here. And then, of course, there's industry standard best practice. So the very first thing you should do when you write a program that you're going to submit to me is to make sure that you're putting in on the very top your name. That should be first. The program name, in this particular case, it's going to be Project 3, and then a brief description of what the program will do. Now, if you don't put in Project 3, I'm not going to go nuts, but I do expect that your name will be there and a brief description of it. I also ask that you comment the purpose of every variable that you create in there. So use your own judgment on what to write in comments, but you should always, number one, when you open up main, the very first thing you should do is declare all of your variables first. Now, of course, there are exceptions to that, but for the most part, you should be able to declare everything up top and then just use those variables. That way you can have them all centrally located. You don't have to look for one, and make sure, again, as I said, that you comment the purpose of everyone in here. So then you have option, challenge, user input validation. Well, that really should be part of this project in here, because if you're looking to get 1.1 to 4 and the user presses in 0, or the user presses in 87, you know, that's not going to work really well. So again, look for my video on how to do input validation. So what you're going to submit, so you're going to do one of two things in here. If you only did it in one file, just submit the CPP file. I'm fine with that. If you did it in a class with multiple files, then you need to submit the zip file with the entire project in there. So again, I'm going to leave that up to you on how you want to do it. But like I said, I'm perfectly fine on what to do. You don't need to submit the input file, and you don't need to submit the output file unless you are using the whole project, because they would have to be in there anyway. So let's go over the rubric real quick. So obviously you have the menu option 1. That's the one where you're going to look for an item, and it's going to tell you whether it exists or doesn't exist. So you want to make sure that that's working well. 2, the over option is going to print all of the items and how many are there. Then the histogram. And menu 4 is, it's either going to work or it's not going to work. So that's fairly cut or dry. The data file creation, obviously it needs to be done, and you wanted to make sure that you name everything properly so that you don't have any issues in here. And this is going to have the accumulated data, and let's see, documentation. So the documentation is that one, the one file that you can use your, like I said, pseudocode in here. And notice that it says supported with screenshots. And if you don't have your screenshots, then you can see how it's going to hurt you in here. So you want to make sure that you number one, do a really good job on it. Don't just write a few things down and submit that. Industry's best practices. Again, that requires you to put your name and the document name and the purpose of the program. It requires that you comment all variables, and it requires that you have inline comments when appropriate. So I know that's kind of a little bit hard sometimes to determine whether or not you need a comment, but you want to make sure. And comments like declaring variables is really not a good or calculating items is really, that's, kind of self-explanatory that you're declaring variables. And the artistic articulation of response, we're looking for typos and we're looking for APA style. Now, in your particular case, in this one here, all you really need to have is obviously your name on it, and you need to put the assignment name. And then what you want to do is 12-point Times New Roman with 1-inch margins. I believe it does tell you how to do that in one of these. But here it is, right over here. So you want to do it in 12-point Times New Roman and double spacing and 1-inch margins. Now, if you need to have more than one page, that's okay. Especially if you're going to put in screenshots in here. So I don't see the need to have any references, but if you want to put references in there, you're in good shape as well. So that's pretty much everything that you need to submit for this. So remember to get with me if you're having an issue with it, so I can work with you the very best that I can. I'm trying to leave some times open for students so that I can meet with them on a Zoom session. So we will see what happens, and let me know if there's any way that I can help you. Enjoy this program. I think it's a good thing for you to do, especially to learn maps. Remember that with maps, they are sorted in order. So you sort by the actual key in there, regardless of when they're submitted. So that's all I have for this. Please like the video if you like it. Please leave comments. And as always, if there's anything I can do to assist you, please let me know. Have a wonderful day.